with Faraz Shauketaly.
And very good morning to you. This is Newsline live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And yes, it's that time of the year, I suppose, where we are raging with controversy, and elections must be around the corner because all sorts of matters come to the fore. The Tajuddin matter, the Vikramatunga matter, the Keith Noya matter, the Avant-Garde matter, and all sorts of matters are all coming to the fore. Elections must be around the corner. But also, the debate on these agreements that have been signed, to be signed, might be signed, will not be signed, rages. To discuss one aspect and a little bit more about that is Mr. Reciprocity Tenakun. Very good morning to you, Mr. Reciprocity.
Good morning, Faraz.
Thank you very much for coming here and helping us to attempt to understand what's going on. What are some of the more serious ramifications of this proposed SOFA agreement to be signed?
Yes, I mean, people have been now. It has become sort of a buzzword in the everywhere.
Yeah.
Newspapers, TV stations. Everyone is talking about agreements. SOFA, access have become very, very common words now.
Yeah.
But now there are certain things that it has to be addressed in a different way, looking at these agreements.
Yeah.
Now, I feel the controversy is the fact that the thing is being kept secret, as a secret, and there is no absolute transparency with regard to the contents and how it is to be signed and why it is to be signed.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, in that context, there is something very important that we can address our interests.
Yeah.
That is, can the government, under the existing laws and regulations in this country, enter into a SOFA agreement that provides, among other things, an immunity to the visiting forces, American military, without disclosing the contents, without disclosing those details to the parliament. This is the issue.
Okay.
Now, if the government can do it, probably they would have done it by now. Like most other agreements and things where they can exercise their own authority without having to be reported to the parliament, they have been doing that.
Yeah. Right.
But in this case, I think they are also taken aback with this sort of the hurdle, I should say, that they can't act unilaterally disregarding the law of the country.
They cannot.
They cannot.
And the law of the country, that is really one of the bones of contention, isn't it? Because it is proposed that these visiting forces will be able to land in Sri Lanka, will be able to be in uniform, will be able to carry their weapons, I presume with ammunition. I mean, they wouldn't want to carry them for whatever. And they'd be outside the control of our customs authorities, and so the list is quite endless. And I suppose the traffic police won't be able to stop them either.
No, they don't.
No, so what is this whole business? It's a wholesale, whole-scale selling of our sovereignty, isn't it?
Yes, I think none of the things that we mentioned here about taxes, fees, licenses, wearing of uniforms and all that.
Yeah.
You see, I mean, the most serious part is, above all, the US government wants to exercise their jurisdiction over their personnel when they are in a foreign country.
Right.
I think that's a legal obligation for them.
Right.
Because the United States can't send their people to a foreign country and subject them to the laws of that country, and under their constitution absolve themselves from the responsibility they have as a government to their citizens. So therefore, they are trying, I mean, over and above all these other things that we discussed, to ensure whether, to what extent the US government can retain the right to exercise jurisdiction over their people. This is the issue. So this is the one that causes even us issues and problems, because an immunity is a thing for us. It's not simply an immunity cannot be granted at the whims and fancies of a government internally. There are certain international laws governing immunities.
Yeah.
Now the Vienna Convention of 1961,
Yeah.
which is privileges, which is the one that deals with the privileges and the rights of the diplomatic missions,
Yeah.
where the immunity is most applicable.
Right.
It stipulates very clear conditions applicable to the diplomatic personnel,
Right.
mission personnel, when they are in a foreign country, how the immunities apply to them, and what can be afforded and how it is honored. Now when it comes to the question of immunity, it is not a case only for Sri Lanka. Now imagine the situation of a diplomat coming in Sri Lanka in a mission, and he, while serving as a diplomat
In Sri Lanka. Yeah.
he makes a visit to a foreign country,
To a third party.
another country,
Yeah.
maybe one of his personal visits,
Yeah.
or an official.
Right.
But in such circumstances,
Yeah.
the Vienna Convention is very clear.
Yeah.
Under the Vienna Convention, even that government of that third country where these diplomats visit are bound by the Vienna Convention rules and regulations. If they are a party to Vienna,
Yeah.
I mean all countries generally.
Yeah.
So then they are bound to honor the immunities.
Right.
Now imagine I'll pose you a question. Supposing an immunity is granted to a US military personnel here,
Right.
and that chap goes on to another country.
Yeah.
Do you want to accept the position that he is entitled to immunities to do whatever he wants or to enjoy that immunity rights in that third country? And who is responsible for that? So
Right.
therefore, the Vienna Convention is very clear that the immunities granted are under specific terms which are referred to in the Vienna Convention 1961. Now, Sri Lanka government
Yeah.
in 1996
Yeah.
passed a regulation considering this aspect alone, that is granting of immunities to persons other than the diplomatic mission employees or employees and personnel, even the diplomats. That is entitled to,
Yeah.
even a staff member is entitled to that immunity, no?
Yeah.
So, taking that into account, they passed a law which is called the Diplomatic Privileges Act of 1996. That is Act number 9 of
Yeah.
1996.
Passed here in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Okay.
1996, mind
Right.
you. It's very significant because I'll point it out during the course of our discussion
Yeah.
why 96 is important
Right.
and relevant. In that act, it is clearly stated that if and when immunities are extended to any intergovernmental organizations,
Yeah.
any other organization or institution or personnel, such things should be gazetted by the minister in Sri Lanka, and soon after the gazetting, the act says as soon as possible the matter has to be referred to the parliament. And the act goes on to say further, if the parliament rescinds,
Yeah.
doesn't approve,
Yeah.
then it's cancelled. That immunity or whatever that
But
understand.
all this time up to now, until you've just said this,
Yes.
people have been saying
Yeah.
that these are merely exchange of letters, and therefore there's no compulsion, constitutional compulsion to discuss this matter in Parliament, but accepting until what you just said.
I think this is just total complete miscarriage. But I must say, in in respect of certain matters raised by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tilak Marapana, when he was having discussions in the United States in May. I think it was in May 2019, that's a few months ago. He went there for what is called the third US partnership dialogue.
Right.
That dialogue takes place because it is the third, ipso facto, it follows that there have been 1 and 2.
Yes.
So this is the third one.
Okay.
So he went for this third dialogue, partnership dialogue with US, and he raised a very valuable point there.
Which is?
It was reported that this question of granting immunity to the US personnel, military personnel, when they are in Sri Lanka, as to whose jurisdiction should apply in their case, I think Mr. Marapana quite rightly raised an issue and said, it is reported, that you cannot follow the precedents that was followed in 1995. Now I am coming to this importance of the 1995.
96,
Yes, 1995.
Right.
He categorically said, we have passed the law in 1996, that he was referring to this Diplomatic Privileges Act.
Right.
Because of that act, you can't just by exchange of letters without reporting it to the parliament and gazetting what the immunities are by way of a gazette notification order. You cannot enter into this agreement offering the immunity that they are asking.
Right.
They might enter into an agreement, offering various other rights. You see, if at all they become applicable. But it will be all short of an immunity, what is defined in the Vienna Convention. So this is a matter, I think you and I are discussing this, but these are really legal matters. Our lawyers should have addressed this.
Well, that's the whole purpose of one of our things here at NEWSLINE is to spur debate, to spur public debate. And hopefully the legal fraternity will take it on. Because, as you say, the Diplomatic Privileges Act of 96 specifically says or discounts this exchange of letters. So we'd like to debate that. But Mr. Rusipala, are people correct in raising the red flag when it comes to the signing of this agreement?
Most certainly. Most certainly. The question for us is, there are many matters arising out of SOFAs. Now, particularly when the matter is non-transparent, and when it is to be rushed and done in hush-hush, it creates a lot of suspicion. Not only suspicion, going by precedences elsewhere, where you and I discussed this some time back, going by precedences and occurrences and incidents, events, episodes that have taken place in other countries in relation to SOFAs that they have agreed. After all, this is not the first and the last SOFA. US has entered into hundreds of SOFAs with different countries. Right now, more than 100 agreements are in force. So therefore, they are very well trained and they know what it is. The only thing is, if they are trying to tailor it to suit their requirements, bypassing and overlooking our constitutional provisions and the laws of this country, then it becomes bad. What is happening is, you see, who wants this agreement for us? Why do you need the military to be here personally?
Why?
That is the question unanswered. Nobody answers this. Nobody answers this. Security, these SOFA agreements are signed. If the country is under a threat, internally or externally, to support it, US forces can come in and it can be requested. Then, if there is a treaty between Sri Lanka and the United States on other matters, some kind of a treaty, a peace treaty or something, which is previously signed, as a conditionality of that treaty, they can send the forces here. That's the other reason. The third and the most important reason is, the US Congress can decide, no, we must have a SOFA with that country for reasons that they want, for their own reasons. So it appears from all what has transpired and what's going on, this is the third one that is applicable in our case.
Right.
That is, the US is more interested in entering into a SOFA agreement with Sri Lanka
Yeah.
for some strategic importance and reason.
And that is something that is on their agenda and not on ours.
Exactly, exactly.
Because really, let's be practical. The Sri Lankan Navy or the Army isn't going to be trooping around the United States, are they?
What nonsense. I mean, the reciprocity of these agreements is merely a joke as far as we are.
But what is not a joke is what has been reported in the press this morning.
Yes.
It says here, MCC, and this is not cricket. We're not talking Kumar Sangakkara here. MCC means Millennium Challenge Corporation, looks forward to RW's continued leadership. Why? Why? Don't we have others? We're practicing a democracy here.
This is
Why?
You are spelling out one of the very serious, relevant, important concerns surrounding this issue, entire thing.
It's about land. Mr. Smart, don't we have our own land surveys, and we've had a commission of lands for God knows how long, from the year dot probably, and are we to believe now, 71 plus years after independence,
Yes.
that we can't handle surveying our own land, and that we need some American or American in this case,
Yes.
expertise to come here,
Technology.
and so on. Isn't it some cynical attempt to identify lands on their part, then sell it off, the state lands, and then sell it off to the poor farmers, then eventually when it gets so tough, the economic conditions, that they will be forced to sell, and it will be multinationals who buy them up?
Faraz, it goes beyond that, I think, because this is a surreptitious move, undoubtedly, we have no doubt about it, to have access on our land to the forces, the American forces and United States, in a more definite, firm footing. They want to have their footing here on a legalistic basis, continued basis, for some important reason. That is why...
Yes, now important reason. And if you read what Sean Cairncross, who's the new head of this Millennium Challenge Corporation in Sri Lanka, he said that he looks forward, he wrote to Ranil Wickremesinghe, he said he looks forward to Ranil Wickremesinghe's continued leadership so that they can achieve their shared goals. What are these shared goals, Mr. Rusripala, that Mr. Wickremesinghe has, that he's sharing with the Americans?
This is the thing now. The entire thing emanates from this statement. Now you can see the American government, the MCC is a arm of the American government, US. It's coming under US aid, and that is, the coloring that is given to MCC, Millennium Challenge Corporation, is that they are going to give aid and assistance to alleviate poverty. Under that, you see, that is the front, the face of it. You see, they enter a country, they give grants, they give donations, and then they also play the role of carrying on the projects that they design, not we design. The projects are designed by them.
So this is a simple case of what Donald wants, Donald gets.
That's exactly. Now you spelled out the main project that they are interested in this country now. They have been in it for some time now. This is the last phase of it. They have virtually completed surveying the entirety of our lands and then mapping it out and then planning the things. And then they have in their system the entire landscape of this country.
So these things that are happening now are merely applying the gloss to a product that has already been manufactured and almost in play.
This is a simple another manifestation of that same process. They not only have they done the survey, they have come up with certain policies They have come up with certain policies such as, defining certain types of lands into certain categories. For
Right.
example,
Yeah.
they have identified 977,000 acres of land
Yeah.
belonging to or kept under the Land Reform Commission
Yeah.
in this country.
Yeah.
And they call it, among other things, they have identified the lands, the extents of lands which hold the armed forces, the barracks, the camps, schools, government departments, religious places. They are calling all this entirety of land extents unproductive land.
Unproductive land.
They have branded it in their earlier reports. Now they have concluded that
Yeah.
it is. We have come to know very reliably that they have already identified these lands as unproductive lands, and the most important thing is they are trying to make it productive. How? They want to generate income out of those lands. A school,
Yeah.
according to their market principles, the theories,
Yeah.
the neoliberal theories that they are advocating,
Yeah.
and these are all, these units are all appendages of that, operation, that neoliberal operation that's spread all over the world. Not only MCC, there are various other organizations supposed to be NGOs or non-governmental or assisted organizations,
Yeah.
which are in operation side by side.
And so, and obviously, from their perspective, they've got the right man on the job here.
Yeah.
Because as that letter says, the MCC looks forward to working with Ranil Wickremesinghe and his leadership to achieve the shared goals. And so it's obviously clear that it is the Prime Minister who wants this signed. It is the Prime Minister who's behind this business. Because, Mr. Reciprocity, do you remember that when it was brought up in Parliament, both the Prime Minister and others in his government, they denied that Millennium Challenge Corporation had an office at Temple Trees. Thereafter, some communications emerged, copies of communications in which it was established that they did have a representative local office, whatever you want to style it out. The fact is they had one. And the fact is that the Prime Minister, as is usual in these matters, has misled everyone.
It is not they had an office, they do have an office.
Oh, they still have an office.
They do have an office. It's an ongoing operation, and there are staff attached to in the Prime Minister's office to this unit.
So this is very cozy. This is very cozy.
Yes.
The Prime Minister has in some office nearby in his complex, right, in the new wing or whatever that was called, he has some foreigners advising him or working with him or whatever it is. Remember, he is the Prime Minister of a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, a few kilometers away, in where the Sri Lankan Parliament is, we've got the Speaker who's got a consultant who is paid by the US government. How very wonderful this is. To complete the circle, all we will need is for the opposition members and all the opposition parties to also have advisors paid by the US government or any other government to be their consultants. So how easy is it to achieve these shared goals?
The shared goal is achieved in very different. You have cited two very important, very relevant issues. One is the advisor that has come to give advice to the Speaker of this country, paid by the United States. And he was a former Foreign Secretary who prompted the then Defense Secretary to rush and sign the AXA agreement in 2017. These are not secrets. Now, to find that he is on the paybook of the United States and playing an important, vital role in the Parliament of Sri Lanka. Now, when this was disclosed, the solution. The solution is, now they are trying to see whether he can be paid out of our funds. Now, does it take away his loyalty and his delegation that he has been delegated with, the activity, that he will forget that, or he will act independently? I mean, this is the rubbish. And you know, Faraz,
Yeah.
I want to cite another very, very vital thing. You know, the FIU,
Yes.
the Financial Investigation Unit
Yes.
in the central bank.
Yes.
Please ask somebody in that department whether there isn't a US personnel who is visiting and almost in and out of that place regularly. A US personnel.
Presumably because Sri Lankans can't count and keep track of things, is it?
Yeah.
Is that what they mean?
They have information that FIU can share with the government of Sri Lanka. About that, more than that, they have information because they have access to it. They are in it. They are in and out of the FIU. I'm telling this with authority. Somebody can check up whether there is no intrusion into the FIU. You know the importance of FIU.
Perhaps the governor's office, the governor of the central bank, his office would care to comment on this.
They should. They should. They have a right, the duty by them to explain to the country the role of any visiting outsider to have any operations in that, because it is a highly strictly confidential department. You know this attack on the 21st of April.
Yeah.
If one has to investigate properly into it, one of the basic things that they have to look into is how the terrorist movement was funded. And that information is the only place, the most vital, important, central fulcrum to determine that information or get that information is the FIU. Because then they will know from which country the money came, to whose credit, and for what reason, what are the reasons induced by them to get that money. All that information is there. It's very vital for the security of this country. And if you suspect foreigners to play a role in that such a vital, secretive place, you can understand why they are trying to keep the Prime Minister in his place, keep him going. Because it is very necessary. Under whose purview did the central bank come until recently? I mean, even now?
Yes.
It was under the Prime Minister.
Yes.
He took it over.
For the first time in the history of independent Sri Lanka, the central bank was not listed under the Ministry of Finance.
Exactly. Now he took it over. Now when you look back, turn back and see, these are not accidental things. These are not unplanned things. See, now you are talking about lands, no? There was a guy who was recruited as the governor of the central bank, who has now disappeared.
Yes.
Arjuna Mahindra.
Yes.
You know, one of his first outside seminars that he held in this country in 2015, when he was appointed as the governor of the central bank, was in Kandy. I have the paper reports, everything. He addressing a seminar in Kandy, he said, the land policy of this country is cockeyed. 2015.
Who on earth is he to say that?
My God. No, besides that, they have been at this thing, you know, this mapping out and the land requirements and the giving the lands out from the time they assumed office.
And of course, if this is asked in Parliament, they will clearly deny it the same way they denied the existence of the MCC presence at Temple Trees or in the Prime Minister's office. You know, Mr. Rusiripala, we've run out of time, but honestly, Citizen Rusiripala Tennakoon, is Citizen Rusiripala Tennakoon sufficiently worried to take this matter up further?
You see, that is why the first thing that we have done is to open it up. So let the legal wizards in this country who are eminently able, capable, they can pursue this, and they have to, in the national interest, it has to be done. You know, the Reverend Cardinal and the Mahanayaka Theros of this country,
but also
the highest
opposition,
clergy.
opposition as well.
Yeah, opposition is, you know, making here and there something, but it is not sufficient. I should say, in a very systematic manner, this entire episode has to be analyzed and put forward in the national interest.
Do you know, I want to say this, but my Sinhalese language is a bit challenged.
Yeah.
I want to say this, I want to say that if this is asked in Parliament,
Yes.
that the Parliament will clearly deny it, the way they denied it all about the MCC place within the Prime Ministerial complex. I want to say that. I want to say that in
Denials
Sinhalese.
in Parliament are jokes, mere jokes. It has
How
reduced
do
to
I
that.
say that in Sinhalese? When you say that in Sinhalese?
Can say vihiluwak.
Right.
It is joke, because the
දැන්
moment...
මේ සිද්ධිය අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු එකෙන් ගිහිල්ලා අපි ඇහුවොතින්
ඔව්.
අනිවාර්යෙන් කියන්නේ
ඔව්.
නෑ එහෙම එකක් නෑ.
නෑ කියන
මේකත්
තවත්
නෑ.
එකක් කියනවා. ලේසියෙන්ම කියන දෙයක් තියෙනවානේ. මේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂගේ කාලෙත් මෙහෙම වුණා කියන. ඔක තමයි කතන්දරේ. දැන් when Kiriella was asked specifically about this agreement, what did he say? Access are not new to this country, he said. True.
Yes.
But what he did not disclose to the public and the parliament colleagues is that fact that this AXA, they forced in, hurriedly done in 2017, was entirely a new thing, new agreement with 80 pages and with all kinds of undisclosed conditionalities compared to the previous AXAs in this country. And they said, Chandrika's time this was signed, Gotabaya signed it. I mean, all this is irrelevant. Tell us what is in the AXA.
Well, for the benefit of our viewers
Yes.
who are more conversant in the Sinhala language, would you kindly say that in Sinhalese, please?
You see, මේ ප්‍රශ්නය ගැන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී විපක්ෂය ප්‍රශ්නයක් නගපු අවස්ථාවේදී කිරියල්ල ඇමතිවරයාගේ උත්තරය වුණේ මේ ඇක්සා ගිවිසුම් අලුත් දේවල් නෙමෙයි මේවා කලිනුත් තිබුණා දැනුත් අසංක. නමුත් එතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් සහ මුළු රටෙන්ම වසන් කළ කාරණය තමයි 2017 දී මේ අසං කෙරුවයි කියන ඇක්සා ගිවිසුම පිටු 80කින් සමන්විත කවුරුත් නොදුටු කොන්දේසි සහිත අලුත් ලියවිල්ලක් මීට කලින් තිබිච්ච කිසිම ඇක්සා ගිවිසුමක මෙබඳු පිටු ගණනක්වත් මෙබඳු කොන්දේසිවත් තිබුණේ නැහැ කියන ප්‍රබල සැකය අද අපිට තියෙනවා. සමහර විට මේ අනිත් ගිවිසුම් ඔක්කොම අසං කිරීමේ ප්‍රශ්නය අද රටට එන්නේ ඇතැම් විට රහසිගතව ඒ 2017 ඇක්සා ගිවිසුමේ වගන්තියක් ඇතුළත් කරලා තියෙන්නට පුළුවන් අපි ඉදිරියේදී සෝෆා ගිවිසුමක් අසං කරනවා කියලා.
Thank you. We've overrun, but Rusiripala Tenakun, thank you very much. As usual, your contribution is immense. I do hope that people everywhere realize that you're doing this out of your conviction and your desire to be Sri Lankan first and everything else next. On that note, thank you very much for watching Newsline. Take care and have a great day ahead of you. And of course, God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.